det var första gången vi möttes. Våra blickar bara möttes. Kommer du ihåg det igen? Kommer du ihåg?
Hola, damas y caballeros. Muy buenas tardes. How this music out of here. We're glad that you are in the building. All right, damas y caballeros, everybody is joining us. We are waiting on them to pop in. Meanwhile, we're going to let you know today we are talking about the mesh method. This is something that I have come up with, and so we want to make sure we can shed some light on this bad boy right here. All right, so we want to make sure you understand how to put things together, okay? We talked about it a little bit last class. We're going to break it down even further. It's all about repetition here. So we're going to give you some insight as to how you can do this and be more comfortable when it comes to speaking in Espanol. All right, so let's take a look here to see where I am while we get people coming in here. The first thing, while I'm looking to get started here, I see where I am. So to get started here, we're going to jump over into nuestro calentamiento, our warm-up here. I'm going to make this screen bigger so that you can peep the scene. All right, so el calentamiento, the warm-up, right? That's what we're talking about here. And if you're just joining us right now, bienvenido a ustedes. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And we are jumping into the warm-up right now. So here is what we want to see. All right, so we've got las instrucciones. We've got the instructions here. We are reviewing el verbo ser. All right, estamos repasando el verbo ser. All right, so we're reviewing the verb ser. And so what it says here is write the correct form. Escribe la forma correcta del verbo apropiado. Escribe la forma correcta del verbo apropiado e identifica la letra del acrónimo. All right. So remember, we had the acronym doctor. All right. From our last class, we want to make sure that you know which letter applies to the choice for your conjugation of the verb ser. So if you weren't with us before, let's run through doctor really quickly. All right, Mr. Stephen X. Thank you, senor. Gracias. So we're going to run through, and Mr. Stephen X, if you can also add in your letter from the acronym from last week. We talked about doctor. So which letter would that be? Meanwhile, I'm going to run through these quickly. We've got D for day or date. The O is for occupation, the first O. The C is characteristics. T is for time. The second O is origin. And the last in the R is relationship. All right. So we want to make sure. Yes, that is correct. Excelente, señor. Muy bien. Número dos, Javier y Joaquín blank hermanos. All right. While we have people searching for those answers, I'm going to make sure I can pull up and ride along right beside you here. Let's see here. Okay, I am in the building now. I see where I want to be. All right, there we go. There we go. Good stuff. And I want to check the. There we go. That's what I want to see. Good stuff. All right, so Javier y Joaquín blank hermanos. All right. I'm going to show you all the answers. Yo tengo todas las respuestas para esta actividad aquí. So I have all the answers here. But we're going to let you go ahead and put your answers in. Buenas tardes, Señor Kings and Dreams. Thank you for joining us today, Señor. All right. Mr. Stephen X says, están. Mr. Stephen X, remember, we are only talking about the verb ser right now, just the verb ser. I tried to make it easier because right now I don't want to go back and forth between the two. I want you to really know when to use the verb ser, when to know when to use the verb estar, and then we're going to mesh those bad boys together and see if we can't figure it out in like the third class from now or the second class from now. So like class number 7. We're going to kind of put them together here, but we're going to do some practice with just the verb ser. And you are correct with your letter. It is R for relationship. But what is the conjugation of ser? Remember, están viene del verbo estar. It comes from the verb estar. So what would we put here? Javier y Joaquín blank hermanos. Excelente, señor. All right, número 3. Yo blank médica. All right, this is a young lady speaking. How do I know that? I can just simply look at the last letter here in médica. It ends in A, so that tells me es una mujer. All right, so yo blank médica. What would she put in for the correct form? And then also tell us the letter from doctor. Yes, that would be correct, señor. Yo soy médica. Soy médica occupation. Y número 4. Tu blank muy bonita, señorita. Bars. Make sure you put those to memory right there. All right. Tu blank muy bonita, señorita. Bars. Okay. What are we putting in here for this one? Go ahead and get your answer loaded there. And then that way we can kind of see where you are. And then once again, like I said, if you're joining us late or you're coming into the party a little tardy, no worries. We have all of the answers for the warm up here today for you on the next upcoming slide. You can take a look at those as we continue on. All right. So we're going to go ahead and jump to las respuestas aquí. Here we go. Hoy es martes. It's the D in doctor. Remember Mr. Stephen X. El verbo ser. No es el verbo estar. It's not the verb estar this week or today's class. Not estar. We're talking about ser. So that's why I want to make that difference. I want to make a strong line between knowing all of our conjugations of the verb ser and all of our conjugations of the verb estar. All right, so hoy es martes, D for day and date. Javier y Joaquín son hermanos. Javier and Joaquín are siblings, or even we can say brothers. The R for relationship. Yo soy médica. I didn't underline or highlight the word soy, but that is the form of the verb. Este es el verbo ser en la primera persona. So this is the verb ser in the first person. Yo soy, I am a doctor. So we're going to use occupation, the O for occupation. Y número 4, tú eres muy bonita, señorita. Bars. All right, the two form of the verb ser, C for characteristics. At least you had your letter correct, señor Stephen X. We just want to make sure you know where we're going with that conjugation of the verb ser. All right, let's keep it moving, damas y caballeros. La palabra vieja fue to eat. Oh, no, it's to. Oh. Sí, es el verbo. To eat, comer, ¿verdad? La palabra vieja. Y para la palabra de hoy, today's word, all right? Remember, last week's word was comer, which is to eat. We're going to be working with comer today in this class, en esta clase, en esta lección. All right, so la palabra de hoy, to want. To want. Kind of like if you're around my age, give or take, about 10 years after and before. We had this Taco Bell commercial with the Chihuahua, right? Back in the day, and he would always roll up on people. He's walking through town, and he would hit them with the Yo quiero Taco Bell, right? Yo quiero, that's the yo form, la primera persona, right? So that's what we're talking about with this verb here, querer. Hey, cheers, señor, salud. Gracias, señor, gracias. Thank you, Bruce Rain, for joining us today. So querer, to want. All right, querer, to want. It does mean other things, but right now we just need we need it for saying to want. We're not going to jump into this heavily at all in this lesson. We're going to focus on our word from last class, which was comer, to eat. And we're going to do a couple of things with that one. All right, so sabías. We always like to start off our classes with a did you know? All right, let's check this out. To express a negative action in Spanish, just simply add the word no in front of any verb. So that's going to ultimately give us the context of I don't, right? You don't. We don't. All right. They don't. Y'all don't. So just put no in front of the verb. So let's think about the verb, el verbo ser, right? And in la forma de nosotros, it was somos, right? If you think back, look through your notes there. Somos, we are, right? If I want to say we aren't from Japan, all right? We aren't from Japan. No somos de Japón, all right? No somos de Japón, okay? No somos de Japón. We aren't from Japan, okay? We aren't happy, or I'm not happy. No estoy bien, right? We aren't, yes, that is correct, Kings and Dream. I'm not, no soy. I'm not, I can say, I'm not a doctor. No soy médico, right? I'm not a doctor, okay? No estoy contento. No estoy feliz. I'm not happy. So that's what we're talking about by making something negative. Por ejemplo, yo no como pizza. Okay. I know you can look at this verb here, right? There you go. Excelente, señor. Mr. Stephen X. No como pizza. Yo no como pizza. You know, como, those first three letters are associated with our word from last week, which was comer. All right. You know that, you've identified your subject, right? Identifica el sujeto o el ejecutor. All right. You want to identify your subject, the person that's doing the action, right? So como comes from that verb comer. We know we got to make it make sense. We got to put it together, right? Mesh it together. Yo no como pizza. You can always figure that out. I'm not even going to tell you what it means in English because I know you already have it. Okay, damas y caballeros, las nuevas palabras de hoy, the new words for today that we're going to be utilizing are verdad, which is right. Not like write something down, not like to the right, because we did a video on prepositions. We're talking about if someone says something to you like, you're from Oklahoma, right? It's like kind of trying to get clarification. All right. Clarification there. All right. So verdad would be right here. Okay. Pollo. All right. Pollo would be chicken, right? Pollo would be chicken. Mañana, tomorrow, right? Pan. All right. Pan, which would be bread. Mostaza. Mostaza, which is mustard. Make sure you're saying these out loud too if you've got the opportunity to do so. If you're working remote, you're in the whip like Bruce Wayne said. All right. Say these out loud. Okay. And I want you to work on what we call a technique of shadowing, right? It's kind of like, Wu-Tang was talking about shadow boxing. All right. Shadow what I'm doing. I want you to understand that in order to perfect or improve, and you can't necessarily perfect it, but you can improve your accent, right? Or your pronunciation skills by trying to pronounce it similar to what you hear me say. All right. So we've got verdad. All right. Verdad. Pollo. Mañana. Pan. Mostaza. Lechuga. All right. Lechuga. All right. So we've got lechuga. Mostaza is mustard. I don't know if I told you that, but mostaza is mustard. Okay. Very random words I have here. No worries. Okay. Once you start to put a category to these things mentally, and I give you all these random words, you'll know how your brain will automatically be able to place these into those different categories. Okay. So I don't want to always give you words that are correlated to one another. They're related. And you're like, oh, I know all the words about food. I know all the words about my house. But when I ask you something else, I want you to be able to choose, pick and choose. It's like Baskin and Robbins up in this piece. 32 flavors, baby. I want to give you 32 different ways to say things so that you can say, oh, I can pull from here, I can pull from there. Okay. So we're giving you the random aspect of language, not just straight, uniform type ways they give us in like chapters in a book or something. All right. So mostaza is mustard, and then lechuga is lettuce. Okay. Here we go. Remember our method of ice. Ice and the mesh method, all right, grow together. This is a concept, an acronym that we came out in like our very first or second class. ICE, right? Identify your subject, conjugate your verb, end the sentence, right? So we're in our first section right here con el sujeto or el ejecutor, all right, de la oración, the subject or the person doing the action of in a sentence here. So aquí tenemos yo, tú, él, ella, usted. I know you know these by now. I am drilling these, and it's very important for you to understand what they are. So we have yo, I, tú, you, in a familiar way, right? And then we have él, ella, usted, he, she, and you formal. All right. If you're still working on how to remember when to use tú versus when to use usted, always check the videos I have in the description. I think I might have taken that one out, but I will definitely link it back in the description below for you. Okay. Now we're on I see. Conjugate your verb according to, según el sujeto, all right? Or according to your subject, according to your executor of the action, okay? So, yo como, okay? That would be I, our verb, nuestro verbo comer, which is to eat, right? Now we have to make it make sense because I can't say yo comer. That would be I to eat. We've got to make it make sense, right? We've got to have subject verb agreement, right? Yo como, okay? Yo como. Tú comes, all right? Tú comes. Él, ella, usted come. Yo como, I eat. Tú comes, you eat. Él come, he eats. Ella come, she eats. Usted come, you eat. Formal. Okay. We're meshing. We're bringing things together. This is how I want you to think about when we are talking about creating in the language to communicate. I don't want you to think about words. I want you to think about things that can go together. Yo como. Tú comes. Él, ella, usted come. You're building at the same time learning to remember which words go together. So all it is like matching memory, right? All right, so here we go. Now we're on our E in ice, all right? Our E in ice in the sentence. Simple sentences. Nobody's expecting you to give us a speech. You know, this is not the State of the Union. What we're learning is basic, and then you are going to increase from there, okay? So yo como pollo, right? That's our vocab, nuestra palabra de vocabulario. All right, nuestra palabra de vocabulario hoy. All right, so this is our word, one of our vocab words for today. Yo como pollo. Tú comes pan. Right, another vocab word. Otra palabra de vocabulario. Tú comes pan. You eat bread. Right. Él come lechuga. Él come lechuga. He eats lettuce. All right. So that's all we're doing here. All right. I just want you to make sure you understand that which words go together as far as your subject and your verb. Hit me with a 1 in the chat box if you understand what I'm talking about when I say making sure that your subject and verb agree. All right. If you know what I'm talking about here, you've got it. You understand what I'm talking about. We can continue to move on. If not, I will always give you some additional information about that. All right. All right. So now, Kings and Dreams has it. All right, good deal. Everybody, hey, we're talking about matching them up, right? Matching them up. All right, so now we talked about a did you know, right? A did you know at the very beginning. All right, a did you know at the very beginning was in order to make a word or a phrase or a question negative, we just simply have to add what word. Type it in the chat. Let me see if you remember what we were talking about there. In order to make a sentence negative, all right, necesitamos una oración negativa. There we go, Mr. X. So I don't want to say yo como pollo, all right? I don't want to say I eat chicken. I want to say I don't eat chicken because I'm vegetarian. That's how we're going to add that spice to the end of the sentence, right? So I don't eat chicken. ¿Qué es esta oración en español? All right, what is this sentence in Spanish? Yo blank como pollo. How am I going to simply put that together? We're just simply saying right here. Oh, sorry. I'm hitting buttons that I shouldn't be hitting. All right, so let's look at it right here on the screen. Yo no como pollo, right? Porque soy vegetariano. All right. No como pollo porque soy vegetariano. All right. I don't eat chicken because I'm vegetarian. Not true. All right. Not vegetarian. All right. Tú blank comes pan. Same situation, right? We're making it easy. Tú no comes pan. You don't eat bread. All right. Maybe you got a little gluten thing going on, right? Tú no comes pan. All right. Él no come lechuga. All right. All right. Él no come lechuga. He doesn't eat lettuce. That's all we need to use to make a sentence negative. Okay. Here we go. Aquí tenemos una sección de bonus. All right, we got una sección de bono. All right, so we've got bonus right here. Preguntas posibles. Here are some possible questions that you could come across if somebody's asking you something, right? So they might say something like this. ¿Cuándo comes pollo? Okay. ¿Cuándo comes pollo? Now we're relating the things that we've learned previously, our interrogatives, right? Our question words, we're bringing those back into the fold because we want to make sure that you understand that you can mesh things together from what we are learning, right? We just bring them together and make things make sense. So, ¿cuándo comes pollo? Right? When do you eat chicken? Okay. These questions aren't the greatest questions. We're learning a process. It's not about what the actual question is asking, but it does make sense for us here. All right, so ¿cuándo comes pollo? Okay, when do you eat chicken? All right, y aquí tenemos, ¿qué comes mañana? Ooh, this is an interesting question here. We are doing something that most people do not even realize that they can do. All right, ¿qué comes mañana? What do you eat tomorrow? Does that make sense? Not really. The way we would actually say it in English, and you have to understand this, it's not going to always translate word for word. All right. So we have to make it make sense to us. ¿Qué comes mañana? We know the word mañana means tomorrow. Okay. So ¿qué comes mañana? What will you eat tomorrow? We're using the present tense and the word mañana to mesh it together to talk about the future because we know that the word mañana is tomorrow. So ¿qué comes mañana? All right. What will you eat tomorrow? Exacto. Yo voy a comer mucho mañana. Sí. Podemos decir eso. O también podemos decir, also we can say, Todd, yo como mucho mañana. You can say both. It'll get you point A and point B will both get you to that direction, or point A and point C will get you to B if you go either way. Yes, we can do that. And we'll be talking about using voy a comer in a couple of classes. All right, so comes mostaza. Notice we just used the verb here. And I'm underlining the, yeah, that's a good one right there, Senor Kings and Dreams. All right, so comes mostaza, right? Comes mostaza. All we have here is just the verb and a noun. You don't see your subject, all right? What do we do, all right? What do we do if I don't see the subject in a sentence or I don't hear somebody mention yo, tú, él, ella, usted? You have to start putting to memory the endings that go with these verbs. That's why we're only working and focusing on 3 endings right now. I like to split them up. We're working on the singular aspect of one person at a time. Yo como, tú comes, I, es, right? That's what we have here. So comes mostaza. Comes mostaza. What are we asking that person if I say comes mostaza? All right. We don't see the word tú in here, but we know that es goes with tú on a conjugation. So what do we have here? Comes mostaza. What are we asking that person if I say comes mostaza? All right. Think about that. All right. Y ahora vamos a continuar con esta pregunta. All right. Now we have a question here. No comes pollo, ¿verdad? Check out how we change the intonation there. All right. When we add that word verdad. There you go, Todd Allen. Excelente, señor. All right. Do you eat mustard? Well, mostaza would be mustard, right? No comes pollo, ¿verdad? Right. What am I asking this person here in the last one? We don't see a subject, all right, but we know that es rolls with the to form, la forma del verbo comer, all right? Right, yeah, yeah, I mean, you can look at it like that. Yeah, you could absolutely say, you don't eat chicken, really? Or another way to say it, like in English, we could say, you don't eat chicken, right? Just to get clarification, right? That's what we're asking. You don't eat chicken, right? Because I'm making something here con pollo, arroz con pollo, All right. No comes pollo, ¿verdad? See how we're doing that? Okay. So you can use it as a clarification aspect. Okay. Now, we are yet to be working on speaking. We're getting to that. I promise you, ladies and gentlemen. However, remember, there are 4 facets to learning a language, right? We've got speaking, we've got listening, we've got reading, and we got writing. The ones that are highlighted in pink today, those are the ones that we're going to be working on in our practice. Here we go. Práctica. Escuchemos. Let's listen. Here we go. It says, based on, oh snap, based on what you hear, okay, I want you to select the best possible answer and then place your answers for 1 through 5 in the chat or in the comment section if you're watching the replay. Okay, so all you're going to do is simply put number 1 and then the letter that you see here based on what you hear me read. Let me grab the questions really quickly. All right, here we go. All right, número 1. ¿Qué comes con pollo? ¿Qué comes con pollo? All right, ¿qué comes con pollo? All right, número 2. ¿Qué come Manuel mañana? ¿Qué come Manuel mañana? All right. Number 1, yes. Señor Todd, yes. Number 1 would be yo como pan con pollo. I eat bread with chicken. Excelente. Let me go back to número 2. All right. Número 2 de nuevo. ¿Qué come Manuel mañana? All right. Señor Todd dice, sé. Él come mostaza encima de tu hamburguesa mañana. Encima de tu hamburguesa. Right. It should be su hamburguesa, not tu. All right. That is definitely a typo. Let's get that straightened away right now because people that come and watch this replay, we want to make sure that they have the correct spelling here and everything is matched up correctly. So this should say, él come mostaza encima de su hamburguesa mañana. All right. So the word mañana tell me is going to happen in the future, right? So he eats mustard, or he will eat mustard on top of his hamburger, right? Encima de, right? If you remember from our preposition video, he will eat mustard on top of his hamburger tomorrow. All right. Excelente. All right. Número 3. ¿No comes lechuga? ¿No comes lechuga? ¿No comes lechuga? All right, what do you think that one would be there? ¿No comes lechuga? Excelente, señor Mr. Steven X. Sí, yo como lechuga y tomates. All right, I'm throwing a little bit in here because I want to see if you can just kind of pick up what I'm putting down, because oftentimes we're going to come across people saying things and I'm just going to be like, yeah, I had no idea what that word meant until you utilized it in an actual sentence. All right, like that, señor Kings and Dream. Lo siento, señor, pero a mí me gusta mucho la mostaza. Ok. Número 4. ¿Cuánto cuesta el pollo? ¿Cuánto cuesta el pollo? All right. He says sin tomates. Oh, man, I love it. Sin tomates. La letra D, señor Todd, excelente. El pollo cuesta 550 pesos. All right. El pollo, sí, señor Mr. Steven X. El pollo cuesta 550 pesos. Now, if you're having some issues about these numbers, this is a number that you need to know, especially when you roll into like Colombia or La República Dominicana. You've got to know your numbers from 0 to a million, all right, because of the monetary value of the pesos and how they price things. So you got to know these numbers 0 to 1 million. If you need help with that, I placed 3 videos in the description. They're chunked. It's chunked up. So basically you'll learn 0 to 50, 60 to 100, and then 200 and beyond. All right. And I've broken them down into 3 separate videos that I've done a while back. So you can check those out in the description below if you need to brush up on your numbers. All right. And then número 5, ¿dónde está el pan? ¿Dónde está el pan? ¿Dónde está el pan? What am I asking you right there? ¿Dónde está el pan? Let's see what you come up with right there. ¿Dónde está el pan? Sí, el pan está encima del microondas. All right. Hopefully you can look at that word microondas and figure out what it is. Microondas. All right. I'll give you a hint here. Onda. All right. The word onda means wave, like this. So a microonda, you already got it. El pan está encima de microondas. All right. Excelente, damas y caballeros. All right. So, ahora es tu turno. We are chopping it up right here. We are finished for today. Ahora es tu turno. Escribe dos frases, afirmativa y negativa. All right. So, you're writing an affirmative phrase in sentence and a negative phrase in sentence. There you go, Mr. Stephen X. You got it. All right. So, what do I mean by affirmative? It's what we would think of as a positive statement. Okay. It's not involving a negative word in a statement like I don't read. All right. We just want to say I read if that were the scenario. But we're writing, escribe dos frases, una frase afirmativa y una frase negativa. Una frase usando él, ella, usted como el sujeto o el ejecutor de la acción. All right. So I want you to write a negative phrase and I want you to write an affirmative phrase. Use one of the subjects, él, ella, usted, all right, use one of those three as the subject or the executor of the action, all right, the person doing the action in your sentence. I want you to add that into the comment section, not necessarily here in the chat, because I want you to be able to think about this and always come back. Okay, you don't have to go back and rewatch this again unless you need to. Okay, but what we want you to do is to be able to come up with your two sentences, add those into the comment section of today's live. All right, and then on the next episode, damas y caballeros, in el próximo episodio, all right, we're going to be diving in deeper with el verbo to want. All right, el verbo to want significa querer en español, so we're going to be diving in deeper with that. Hey, there we go, Kings and Dreams. Excelente, señor. All right. So this has been the mesh method. The mesh method. All right. This has been the mesh method with ICE, our acronym that we have been learning. I thank you for joining us today. Gracias, señores. Por favor, repasa la información que necesitamos saber. All right. So review the information that we need to know in order to continue moving on in this journey that we have here. If you have any questions, just simply hit me on Instagram, Facebook, email me, all that information, hit me on Twitter. All of that information is down in the description below. Other than that, soy Profe Don Omar. Nos vemos.